Good morning, students. How are you? This is Indian Express Analysis. Today is 26th of August and you are watching StudyIQ IS English channel. Today we are going to discuss important news and articles from our favorite, the Indian Express newspaper. Let me mute it first. I'm good, Yashi. I'm good, Mahmeem, Arya, Stuti, Rupa. Good morning, all of you. Today is 26th of August and we are going to discuss important news and articles from the Indian Express newspaper. We'll start off with the Integrated Air Defense Weapon System. Let me change the sound setting also. I hope this is okay. Yeah, this must be okay now. Is the voice okay now, everyone? Good morning, Gaurav. So this is the first article that we are going to cover. It is on Integrated Air Defense Weapon System. Now, as I've told you multiple times that whenever you need to counter any aerial threat, let us imagine that is a small aerial threat. So obviously you can't counter it with a big missile from S-400. So you need to have a different kind of weapon systems at your disposal that would deal with the aerial threats. And also that overall air defense system needs to be integrated so that they can talk to each other, know which one should fire to tackle the kind of aerial threat. And this is being solved by DRDO as they have developed an integrated air defense weapon system. So what are there in the integrated air defense system? Why it is so significant for India? We'll understand this in our today's discussion. This is relevant from science and tech perspective and therefore the relevant paper here becomes GS paper 3. In the second article, we are going to understand a lunar module launch vehicle, which is a new rocket that has been developed by ISRO. And as the name suggests, this rocket would help ISRO to reach the moon surface, particularly by sending humans from Earth to moon surface. And this is again important from science and tech perspective. So the relevant paper here becomes GS paper 3. In the third article, we are going to cover a protected area known as Sundarbans Tiger Reserve. Why? Because recently, the Standing Committee of National Board of Wildlife, it has agreed to increase the area in the Sundarbans Tiger Reserve. So, we'll understand the features of Sundarbans Tiger Reserve, which all rivers flow through it, where it is located, and what is the process in increasing the area of a tiger reserve or denominating or designating any area as a tiger reserve. So everything that is relevant from our exams perspective will cover in this article, and this is relevant from biodiversity. Therefore, GS paper 3 is the relevant paper. In the fourth article, we'll cover the phenomena of why is the Arctic ice sea melting and why it is melting slowly these days. But is it a good sign or is it a bad sign? That we'll understand in our today's discussion. This I have taken from a explain section article which appeared in Indian Express, and it is relevant from environment, particularly the phenomena of climate change and how the results of climate change may lead to melting of sea ice, particularly in the polar regions of Arctic and Antarctica. In the fifth article, we are going to cover a very important mountain pass of state of Uttarakhand known as Lipulekh Pass. Lipulekh Pass we have covered multiple times, but I have only had given you a cursory information about Lipulekh Pass. Today we'll go into detail of why is Lipulekh Pass so significant for India and why it is there a controversy between countries of India and Nepal on the Lipulekh Pass. That we'll try to understand, and in addition to that, we'll also cover important mountain passes in the state of Uttarakhand and other parts of the country. This is relevant from geographical perspective, so the relevant paper here becomes GS paper 1. Understood? So these are the important articles that we are going to cover. The notes of this session, as usual, they will be made available on this Telegram channel, ATS Live. So you can go to this channel, download the notes as soon as possible or as soon as the session ends. Now, this is the first article that we are going to cover. It talks about a multi-layered shield known as Integrated Air Defense System, which has been tested by the Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO. Okay. Now, let us understand the context. It has successfully conducted a maiden flight test of Integrated Air Defense System in the coast of Odisha. That is why it is important. Now, what is an Integrated Air Defense Weapon System? It is a multi-layered indigenous air defense system which is designed to counter aerial threats to the Indian country. And this aerial threat may emerge in form of missiles, it may form of laser directed weapons, and it may also have a command technologies that will use to communicate between different various systems that are the part of IADWS. So what kind of missiles, what kind of technologies are used? Let us understand them. First in this first component in the integrated air defense system is the quick reaction surface to air missile system. Now let us suppose you're a military commander and you see a aerial threat coming near to you, and you can even see it, which means it is very near to you. So you need a missile system that is able to target any aerial threat at very short span of time, and it should be quick enough to be able to neutralize it before it is able to hit you. So for that you need a quick reaction surface to air missile system, and this has been developed by DRDO. It is a short range system which has a strike capability of striking a threat anywhere from the distance of 5 to 30 kilometers. It is mounted on a mobile platform, so it can provide protection even to the armored moving contingents that can travel from one place to another, and it provides air defense system on the move. So therefore it is one of the key advantages that you can even mount these air defense systems to a moving target like a regiment of an army. Okay, so this is important, the first component, quick reaction surface to air missile system. Second is a very short range air defense system. This is basically a man-held air defense system like an RPG. Now currently Indian Army and Indian air defense systems, they utilize a Russian origin Igla S missiles as a man-pad, right? But now you need to develop one of your own, and that is why a very short range V-Shots has been developed by a laboratory of DRDO known as Research Center Imarat RCI. It targets low altitude aerial threats at a very short distance, very less than the quick reaction surface to air missile systems. Third in this regard is a directed energy weapon system, laser DEW. Now these laser DEW again has been developed by a lab of DRDO, and it uses a high power laser beam. So it is not using a missile system, rather it is using a directed energy wave known as laser system to counter the threats that may appear, and this has a very high target point, and it also can target at a relatively short span of time and at a very high speed. So it can cut through enemy aircrafts or missile and can cause structural failure if the warhead is engaged, right? So this is why, and the most beautiful part of it is that the cost of running this system is very low as compared to the missiles that you need to fire. So take for example the drone like threats. These are made available to the enemies for a few thousands and few lakhs of rupees. Now imagine to counter those drones which might be of few lakh rupees, you're using a crores and $1 million missile system. Not very prudent, right? So for that you can utilize a directed energy weapon system. So that is how you need to have multiple kind of options which you can utilize to counter aerial threat, and this option should all be very cost effective so that if the war gets prolonged, it does not harm you economically. So this is the beauty of a directed energy weapon system. Now to let all these individual systems talk and coordinate with each other, you need a command and control system, because going forward as the technology of artificial intelligence and machine learning take place, there would in a near future would also be a need not to have a man behind this command and control system. So this command and control system should integrate all the different weapon system, and it should have the ability to communicate without the need of a human intervention. So that for that purpose you need a command and control system which has been developed by Defense Research and Development Laboratory, again a part of DRDO, and it acts as a central hub for coordinating and integrating all weapon components, and DRDL functions also as a nodal agency of this integrated air defense weapon systems program, right? Got this? Any doubt? Rupa, Stuti, Yashi, Arya, Gaurav, Yashi, Santwana, Amar, Baga, Reshma, Dheeraj, Kanchan, all of you, good morning. Let me see, give me a second, okay? Okay, good morning. Now, many air defense systems across the world have been in use. So, I have created a question based on it. Let's see how many of you are able to answer it. Well, you have to identify the incorrectly matched ones. Answer it. Well, Golden Dome would be a system that will be developed by US. HQ9 is an air defense system developed by China, and HQ9 was in news during Operation Sindoor. We have hit it, right? I'm not able to see your comments, any one of you. All seems incorrect. Good. Now I'm able to see your comment. Kinzhal is a hypersonic missile developed by Russia. And NASAMS is a air defense system of US which has been deployed in the country of Norway. So all of these four are incorrect. So option D is your right answer. Yes. Now moving to this next article, it talks about ISRO, which is building its heaviest rocket ever, and we have to take a look at the space agency's launch vehicle. Now ISRO is building the newest rocket known as Lunar Module Launch Vehicle. Earlier there were reports that ISRO is making a next generation launch vehicle. Now ISRO has said that we are not making NGL, but we are making a rocket which is even better than the NGLV or the new generation launch vehicle, and this would be ready for launch by 2035. Now, why do we need a new launch vehicle? The answer to this lies in the existing launch vehicles. Now, can anyone tell me how many stages does a PSLV have? We have covered this multiple times. I hope you should be able to answer it. Preeti, good morning. Kharbudon, good morning. How are things at bank in Meghalaya? Regional Rural Bank? I forgot the name of your bank, sorry. It is a SBI sponsored bank, right? Yes, PSLV is a 4-stage rocket which uses an alternate stages of solid and liquid fuel. So the first stage of PSLV is a solid stage, second stage is liquid. So alternatively, there's a 4 stages having solid and liquid fuels. Whereas more powerful as compared to PSLV is the GSLV, which is a 3-stage launcher, and it can carry heavier payloads as compared to PSLV. Which one of these two is known as the workhorse of ISRO? Can anyone let me know? Now, the advanced version of GSLV, which was earlier known as GSLV Mark III, has been now renamed as LVM3. It is currently the heaviest rocket that India can use, and it also, like GSLV, uses a 3-stage power system. Now, to deal with smaller satellite launches and to allow for satellites and rockets to be integrated quickly, the ISRO has developed a solution known as Small Satellite Launch Vehicle. It is a compact 3-stage all solid propulsion launch vehicle or a rocket that can be assembled quickly, as low as in 72 hours, whereas it took about a week or two to assemble PSLV and JSLV on the launch pad. So you can launch satellites quickly using SSLV. It has a lower capacity, but it can be launched quickly. That is the advantage. So basically, the heaviest rocket that we have is LVM3, and NVL3 basically has a capacity of taking about 8 tons of cargo in the low Earth orbit. As far as GTO is concerned, we can't transfer more than 4 tons of cargo in it. So for more than 4 tons of cargo, we have to require the services right now of the other space agencies' rockets, and that is why we have used French services, we have used SpaceX services. So going forward, we need to send space station. Going forward, India also wants to send its astronauts to moon. So how will you be able to send astronauts using LVM-3? Not possible. So therefore, we are requiring a more powerful, a more bigger rocket, and that is known as the Lunar Launch Vehicle Module. So let us understand the key features of LMV. It is an improved version of NGLV. It is equivalent to a 40-story building, and it specifically has been designed for taking humans to moon, that is for lunar exploration, and it is targeted to support India's first human mission to moon that is expected to happen in 15 years from now, 2040. So by then, by 2040, we need to have a tried and tested launch vehicle that will be LMLV. Okay. No problem, Rishi. Now, it can carry up to 80 tons of cargo to low Earth orbit, which is basically 8 times more than GSLV. And it can deliver up to 27 tons of cargo directly to moon, and it is propelled by 3 stages. 2 stages would be using liquid propellants, and third stage would be using a cryogenic propellant. Can anyone tell me what are the benefits of cryogenic propellant? Why do we use cryogenic engines in space? Any idea? Now in cryogenic propellants, what we do is we store liquid and hydrogen and other gases at a very low temperature, which is below 150 degrees centigrade. And at this temperature, these gases remain in the form of liquid. Now, when you combine these liquid and you take oxidation using a process, it emits a large amount of energy. So, cryogenic fuels are known for its important purposes. First of all, they have a very high specific impulse. Now, due to high specific impulse, what happens is that the amount of energy that this fuel produces is much higher as compared to the conventional energy. Similarly, you also need small amount of fuel to get a greater amount of energy. Otherwise, you would have required to store a large amount of conventional fuel. So, it provides you high thrust, and at the same time, it also requires you to keep less amount of fuel. So these are the advantages of cryogenic engine, that it provides higher thrust and it provides that high thrust at a comparatively lesser amount of fuel as compared to conventional propellants, right? So this is why we utilize cryogenic technology for more better and efficient power of rockets, and this is basically used at an outer space, right? So this is the benefit of cryogenic technology. Let me again see the comment section. Yes, it has a property known as high specific impulse. Because of this, higher thrust is generated, and it is generated consuming lesser amount of fuel, right? This is the beauty of the cryogenic engines. Now let's see if you are able to solve this question from 2018. Which Newton's law is utilized to power rockets? Any idea? Based on which Newton's law? People from science background, I hope you will answer it. Newton's law, first, second or third, which is used, or which principle is being made used here in the rockets? Newton's third law. Every force has an equal and opposite reaction. So when you power the rocket and it generates a thrust, this thrust enables the rocket to take a lift. So you can see the gases that are being emitted, that is creating the downward thrust, and because of that the rocket moves upward. Yes, third law. Now tell me the answer to this question. Any satellite, how will it remain permanently fixed when it is being positioned in the geostationary orbit? Can PSLV send a satellite to geostationary orbit? Incorrect. At max, it can send it to geostationary transfer orbit. So for geostationary orbit, we need a GSLV, not a PSLV. PSLV launches satellite for Earth resources monitoring, that is remote sensing, whereas GSLV are designed to launch heavier communication satellite to higher orbits. GSLV, so first is right, second is incorrect. GSLV is a 4-stage launch vehicle. Incorrect, I have told you. It is a 3-stage launch vehicle with the first and third stages solid, and this basically statement is correct with respect to PSLV, not GSLV, right? So third is incorrect, and the correct answer is only option A. Yes, all of you have gotten it right. Now moving to this next article, this talks about Sundarban Tiger Reserve, which is now India's second largest after the National Board of Wildlife has approved the increase in area of the Sundarban National Tiger Reserve. So the Standing Committee of National Board of Wildlife, which is chaired by Union Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, has given its approval for the West Bengal government's proposal to expand the Sundarbans Tiger Reserve. Anyone from West Bengal here? Anyone from West Bengal? No one. Now, the location of Sundarban Tiger Reserve, as you can understand, is West Bengal, and the most important quality of Sundarban National Tiger Reserve is that it is the only mangrove forest in the world which has a significant amount of tiger population. Okay. Now, borders of this Sundarban Tiger Reserve becomes very important. In the east, it is sharing an international boundary with Bangladesh, and which is marked by rivers like Harinbhanga, Raimangal and Kalindi. On the south, this is covered by Bay of Bengal. In the west, it is covered by river Malta, and in the northwest, it is covered by river Bidya and Gomdi. Now, in Bengali alphabet, you will not hear the words or letters like V and Y. That is why you will hear Bengali people pronouncing it as Bidya, not Vidya, or they are pronouncing Jugraj and not Yuvraj, because the letters Y and V is not present in the Bengali alphabet. Am I right, Santwana? So, Bidya, Gomdi are the rivers on the northwest part of it. Malta is the river on the west part of the Sundarban Tiger Reserve. In the south, it's Bay of Bengal, and in the east, it is having international boundary with Bangladesh, which has these rivers: Kalindi, Harinbhanga, and Raimangal. Please remember these rivers, okay? Now, it also got special recognition. Now, the bigger part of the area is known as the Sundarban Biosphere Reserve. Inside this Biosphere Reserve, the lesser part of the area is known as Tiger Reserve. And inside this Tiger Reserve, there is another smaller lesser part of the area known as National Park. So, the National Park, which is located within Sundarban Tiger Reserve, has been designated as the UNESCO World Heritage Site. And this Sundarban Tiger Reserve, as I have told you, is a part of Sundarban Biosphere Reserve. So, out of the three, the biggest one is the Biosphere Reserve, followed by a smaller Tiger Reserve, followed by a smaller National Park. So, this is how the protected areas are categorized. The biggest geography out of these three obviously would be of Biosphere Reserve. Now, the procedure how to declare a Tiger Reserve and how to alter its boundaries. First of all, let us deal with declaration of Tiger Reserve. This is done under Wildlife Protection Act, and it is notified by state governments based on the advice given to them by NTCA. So, it is the NTCA that would give you an advice that yes, you can notify a Tiger Reserve. Why? Because National Tiger Conservation Authority is the nodal authority for everything relating to lion, tigers, etc. And it is even implementing which project? Project Cheetah, which we have covered multiple times, okay? Now, does cheetah roar? Does cheetah roar? We all know cheetah bhi pita hai, but does cheetah roar? After the session end, just yes, it meows. Like Meowth in Pokemon or like cats, it also meows. It does not have the kind of a bone which you require to roar. So, cheetahs can drink, obviously, but they can't roar. Now the steps involved in declaring a tiger reserve. Now state governments, they submit a proposal and NTCA directly provides an in principle approval. It seeks a detailed proposal from the state government on which area it wants to notify as a tiger reserve. After due scrutiny of the report presented by the state government, NTCA recommends the proposal, which is sent back to the state, and state government then issues an official notification declaring a area as tiger reserve. I guess you did not get the reference of cheetah bhi peeta hai. Well, when Mountain Dew was launched in India in early 2000s, I was a kid back then. So the tagline of that ad was cheetah bhi peeta hai. I did not get it. I still do not get it, but it went viral at that time, when the only virality was the amount of TV ads they used to show. Okay. Now the procedure to declare or alter a tiger reserve. Now the alteration of tiger reserve or its boundaries can also be done under Wildlife Protection Act. The boundaries of a tiger reserve cannot be altered without the recommendation from NTCA or without the recommendation or approval of National Board of Wildlife. Can you please explain in Urdu language? Well, I am not conversant in Urdu, sorry Manzoor. I can only explain in English. I can't even explain it to you properly in Hindi, because my spoken Hindi is alright, but when it comes to teaching, I can't speak Hindi. I'm unable to speak Hindi. Actually, I've tried, but I ended up speaking English only. So jokes मारने में हिंदी आती है, लेकिन पढ़ाने में उतनी नहीं आती. Now the proposal of alteration can also be initiated by the state government, right? So they will give the suggestion, but it has to be recommended by NTCA and approved by National Board of Wildlife. Okay. Now let's see how many of you are able to solve this question. Yes, Biosphere Reserve. This one. Now, Bhitarkarnika National Park is in Odisha. Where is Gulf of Mannar Marine National Park and where is Koringa Wildlife Sanctuary? Quickly tell me. If I tell you to arrange these National Park and Wildlife Sanctuary from north to south or south to north, will you be able to? And Koringa? Google कर लो. Google it, because once you Google it, you will remember it. So now arrange them from north to south. Anyone? Northmost is Sundarbans, then comes Bhitarkarnika, then comes Koringa, then comes Gulf of Mannar. So this is how you arrange them. Now you'll remember it is in Andhra. Done, Baga? Now how many of you struggle in economy? Yes. How many of you struggle in economy? before exam night, it shouldn't feel like cheating. Your intention should right now to know information. So you shouldn't be ashamed of doing Google. Yes, Yashi, bolo. You know what happened in 2018 prelims? One day before the prelims, in the evening, I just remembered a word Bani Thani. So I googled it Bani Thani. Then I came to know it belonged to Kishangarh School of Painting. And next day, a question appeared on Bani Thani. It was purely luck, but had I not googled it, I would not have been able to answer it. I would have known it is from Rajasthan, Bani Thani, but then there was two options, Jaipur, Amer or Kishangarh. I would have known Kishangarh just because I was able to Google it. Bolo Yashi. So you should have a habit of Googling. Okay Yashi, done. But since mains has been done, so that is why I am picking more prelims oriented article. And also I have a very less amount of time, so I have to use them judiciously. Yes, it hampers. NATO members. A question appeared on NATO this year. Okay. So that is how you do it. So you have a habit, or you should be curious. And you being curious would help you solve many of the mysteries in your life. Now coming back to our discussion, Arctic sea ice melting has slowed, but why isn't this is a good news? This article is telling us. Now a new study has revealed that the pace of sea ice loss in the Arctic Sea has slowed down in the past 20 years. So let us understand why is this happening? Because of Pacific decadal oscillation. Now this oscillation determines the long-term shift in the sea surface temperature in the Pacific Ocean. So a cool phase of this oscillation would bring cooler waters to the Arctic, reducing the amount of Arctic warming. Similarly, there is an Atlantic multi-decadal variability, which is a multi-decade fluctuation in the North Atlantic sea surface temperature. Again, a cooler phase reduces the heat flow that is coming into Arctic. So as the heat flow in the Arctic reduces, you need to understand the temperatures also. Heat reduces, so the temperatures of Arctic, that is very necessarily to be kept down, goes down, and this leads to lesser melting of ice. So together these anomalies bring cooler waters into the Arctic, which slows down the ice melting, albeit temporarily, right? Now the implications of this move. First of all, at the outset you have to understand this does not mean that the phenomenon of climate change is reversing. Despite slower melting, the amount of greenhouse gases that are present in the atmosphere has increased, and this has contributed to increase in global mean temperatures. And slow down means that the increase in temperatures have slowed down, not absolutely the decrease in temperature. So this has slowed down global warming but not has eliminated global warming. Second is the risk of rapid future melting. Now there are many models and studies that has been conducted. It has highlighted that the pace of melting could be faster than the long-term trend once this slowdown ends. So this would create a sudden acceleration which would worsen the climate instability. Similarly, an amplified global warming has increased because Arctic sea ice, it acts as a reflective shield, which is known in geography as albedo effect. So as there is a sunlight coming into it, so the more reflection the object can make, the more sunlight would be reflected back into the atmosphere. And if the surface is darker in color, it would help absorb more amount of heat. So presence of ice creates albedo effect, and it leads to higher out insolation of the sunlight from the earth. And as ice melts, it would increase the capacity of the polar regions to absorb more and more heat, and this would create a positive feedback loop. As amount of ice melts, or as amounts of ice melting increases, it reduces the amount of albedo effect, and this would increase the temperatures in the region, which would again create more melting of ice. So this is what the positive feedback loop this article is talking about. So as losses of ice increase, it absorbs more water, it absorbs more heat, and it leads to positive feedback loop. Similarly, there is a sea level rise. This melting of ice contributes directly to sea level rise by destabilizing the islands of Greenland and altering the oceanic circulation. Understood this albedo effect? Now the implications of this slowdown. It would obviously create an impact on global climate systems because the amount of sea temperatures or the amount of atmosphere changes, it leads to altering in the flow of atmospheric circulation. It alters the flow of jet stream, which increases the risk of extreme weather vulnerabilities. Similarly, it disrupts the local ecosystem. It threatens species like polar bears, seals, walruses, which rely entirely on sea ice. And even the indigenous communities who are living in these regions, Arctic ecosystem is the source of their livelihood. Now imagine if the Arctic ecosystem vanishes, how would these people survive? Not right. So this is the problem that is going to be faced in the near future. Ice has the highest albedo, correct? Ocean absorbs most of the incoming solar radiation and thus have low albedo, correct? Dense tropical forests reflect more solar radiation than deserts, incorrect. After ice, it is the deserts who are able to reflect the light. Increased melting of polar ice reduces Earth's overall albedo, contributing to global warming, correct. So except 3, 1, 2, 4 is right and option A is the right answer. Yes. Now moving to this last article, Nepal basically has the audacity to object us as far as Lipulekh is concerned. Right, so why is Nepal not so happy? Nepal has opposed the India-China decision to restart border trade through Lipulekh Pass, which is in Uttarakhand, calling it as unexpected and unacceptable, as Nepal claims this region known as Kalapani Lipulekh Limpiodhura region as disputed. So let us understand which region are they talking about. This is the region they are talking about. It actually belongs to the sovereign territory of India, but Nepal is claiming it. So Nepal and India have agreed to a river which serves as a border between India and Nepal. Can you tell me the river name? So India says that this river originates here. So this part of the territory would belong to India and the part of the territory east to that river belongs to Nepal. Yes, Kali River, or also called as Kalapani River. So Kali River, both of them agreed that Kali River would serve as a border between these two countries. So everything east from Kali River would be Nepal, everything west would be India. But the origin of that river is disputed. So India says it originates at this point of time. So according to India, this is the border between India and Nepal. But Nepal says that instead of this line, it should have been this line, that it should originate from Limpiodhura. So according to Nepal, all this territory belongs to them. And that is why they have raised a dispute on Lipulekh Pass, which is in India, controlled by India. And India is taking trade with China through Lipulekh Pass. So now let us understand the importance of Lipulekh Pass. Why is Lipulekh Pass so important? Now it is a high altitude mountain pass in the Kumaon region of Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand basically can be divided into two regions, Kumaon, which is located in the eastern part of Nepal, and Garhwal region, which is located, Nepal I am talking about, Uttarakhand. Kumaon is located in eastern part of Uttarakhand and Garhwal is located in the western part of Uttarakhand. Can you name the districts located in these two hills? Anyone? Dehradun is located where? Or let's say Pithoragarh is located where? Udham Singh Nagar. There is also a place called Sitarganj where it is located. Haldwani. So let us suppose this is the Uttarakhand state, this is Kumaon and this is Garhwal. So this is located in the Kumaon region near the Indo-Nepal-China dry junction, and it connects Uttarakhand with Tibet in China. It is located at an altitude of 17,500 feet, and it acts as a gateway to higher Himalayas due to its elevation and strategic location. For example, Nainital is in Kumaon region. Find out where Mussoorie is. Do me a favor, find out where Mussoorie is. Is it in Kumaon or Garhwal Hills? They have different languages. So people in Uttarakhand, they discriminate against the two. Tu Garhwali hai, tu Kumaoni, etc., etc. And marriages also happen within the same hills. So a husband from Kumaon would get a wife from Kumaon. Similarly, with respect to Garhwal also. Dehradun is near Garhwal. Tehri Garhwal, Pauri Garhwal are the districts in Garhwal region. Pithoragarh, Haldwani, etc. they are in Kumaon. Pithoragarh is the boundary of Indo-Nepal. Regiment alag hai. You don't have to belong to a state to get into a regiment. For example, Colonel Babu, who gave his life in Galwan, he was the commanding officer of Bihar regiment and he hailed from South India. So there is no strict obligation that you hail from one state, you only can join that particular regiment. For example, Vikram Batra, Captain Vikram Batra, who got Paramveer Chakra, he was from Chandigarh and he joined J&K Light Rifles, Jackrif. Mussoorie is in Garhwal. All of you want to go to Mussoorie for your training, right? You should know where Mussoorie is, in Garhwal or in Kumaon. Now this Lipulekh Pass also acts as a gateway to higher Himalayas due to its elevation and strategic location. It was the first border post that was opened for trade with China back in 1992, and it was later on followed by Shipkila, which is in Himachal, and Nathula, which is in Sikkim later on. Now let us understand the significance of Lipulekh Pass. It is provided to be an ancient trade route. It has been historically used as a trade route which linked India with Tibet when Tibet was an independent country. Then it also has a religious importance. People who travel to Kailash Mansarovar or Kailash Parvat, they travel from one of these two passes. What is the other pass? We use Nathula Pass also for Kailash Mansarovar. Similarly, it holds a very strategic importance. It is located very close to contested Lipiadhura and Kalapani region, which is claimed by both India and Nepal, and it serves as a very important post for border trade and military route, as we have to increase our deployment in the Himalayan regions. Well, Garhwal, the word itself is English, but you have to understand in Hindi there is an alphabet known as R. So Gurgaon, in Hindi it's called as Gurgaon, not Gurgaon. Similarly, it's called as Garhwal, not Garhwal. We call it Pad Rahe Hain. We don't call it Par Rahe Hain, right? Bihari people call it Par Rahe Hain, but it's actually Pad Rahe Hain. So the word Dada is there in Indian languages in Hindi, but it is not there in English. So we write Garhwal, but we pronounce it Garhwal. Got this? I can make jokes on Bihari people because I am a Bihari, but you can't. Right? Now, other major passes in Uttarakhand are also important. First is the Mana Pass. Mana Pass is this one, right? This one. Mana Pass is located in Uttarakhand and it also borders with Tibet. It lies slightly north of the holy place Badrinath. Similarly, there is Mangshadhura, which is used by pilgrims who travel to Kailash Mansarovar. Mangshadhura is this one, located somewhat northwest to the Lipulekh. Third is Niti Pass. Niti Pass is very important. It is a border post between Uttarakhand and Tibet. And another one is the Mulangla Pass, which is this one, closer to the north. Mulangla is the westernmost post in this particular passage of passes that we are considering. Now arrange the following Himalayan passes from east to west. You know, in local Haryanvi, Gurgaon or Gurgaon is pronounced as Gurgawa. And Noida is an English word. So the local people can't effectively pronounce Noida. So they pronounce it as Noveda. So this is how you understand the local dialects. Similarly, Delhi, in Hindi it's called as Delhi, but in English it's called as Delhi. So people from South Delhi called as South Delhi. Lipulekh Pass, Uttarakhand, Niti Pass, Uttarakhand. But from this image, you can say Niti Pass is located somewhat west as compared to Lipulekh. So, and Nathula Pass is in Sikkim, Shipkila Pass is in Himachal. So, the most eastward here becomes Nathula Pass. So, Nathula followed by Lipulekh, followed by Niti, followed by Shipkila. And which is the answer? Option D. Got it? So let's end our today's session. The session notes will be available here in few minutes of time. We'll see each other hopefully, let's see when. Okay, tomorrow I have to travel to Gurgaon. There is an interview that we have to do with a retired IS officer, Mr. Shailendra Srivastav. So I'll be doing that interview and I'll get the session uploaded here. Okay, I will provide you the link. You can watch it. Any questions you want me to ask to sir? He's a retired IS. Any questions you want me to ask on behalf of you? Please let me know. पूछो, बताओ. बोलो बोलो जल्दी बोलो. Anyone who want me to ask a question to the retired bureaucrat? Okay. I will try to ask this question directly or indirectly, okay? Well, he might answer that it is only bureaucracy that is working in Bihar. But I also have to take care of his position and stature, right? I can't ask a question like I ask a question to you guys or to my friends. Well, I will give you this answer, Bhaga Springs, Law and Order. Well, why politicians overtake them? Because India is a democratic country. It is you who are choosing the politicians. So if you choose educated politicians, you will get good politicians. But again, education does not guarantee honesty. It does not even guarantee wisdom. So from that logic, can I say every educated politician would be an honest politician? But see the result, you'll find the most educated politicians were the worst. Okay, I will ask this question, Bhaga, for sure. Milestone moment. Well, Yashi, whenever, if you're not reading the newspaper and if you're following just the sessions are fine. Don't do both of them. Do only one thing. Yes, digital era bureaucrats learn on priority. Okay, done. This is a good question, Bhaga. So if you find any questions, if you can recall any questions, post them in the group. Okay, I will ask him. So have a good day, everyone.